Hello, I'm going to do a video here on some cameras. So I've set up this project and I've had some people asking me recently about cameras and drawing styles and stuff. So I figured I'll do a camera one. Maybe it'll include some drawing style stuff. So you can see it's just one building. This is the building beforehand and this is going to be the building afterwards, with some new columns across the middle, some new columns on the outside, and we're just designing it as we go. There is no drawings for this job, so I'm going to have a couple of new joists here on the end next to the wall, and then they'll probably build the wall up again, I imagine. Obviously, they're not going to leave it open, right? Okay, so we'll get started with some cameras. As you can see, I have some cameras set up here in my template. I'm not going to worry about those for now. I could use them, I guess. You can see we have plan, elevation, and a detail. What I'll do is I'll just start from scratch because you probably don't have these in your drawing anyway. So I'll start with the main. I'm not sure if I'll probably use this just for a section through the middle of the building. So what I did was I first created this one, and then I copied it across, and then I made the changes I had to make. Sorry. So let me start with the cameras. So what I'll do is I'll turn this onto a 2D view, and my camera is set in the correct way for a camera for a plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an anchor plan. It's not going to be an anchor plan, it's going to be more of a floor plan. I'm probably not going to use the anchoring plan itself. So just come in here, go to the second one here, which is tools. Go down here, and this is your camera at UCS. So I'm going to put a camera in here at the UCS, and it's going to be a plan camera. And we're going to put in the name. It's going to be, I'm just going to call it first floor plan. Could be an anchor plan, could be foundation plan. We can change that later. It's just to give you an idea. I probably will change it. But so I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to go into my plans. So I'm going to go to this one here. Now you can see I have different ones. So I'm just going to use this one for now. And then keep the scale pretty small so it fits on the sheet. Detail box, front and rear, I'll just go 12 and 12. And I don't want it to be automatic because I also have this other model here and I don't want that to be included. So what I do generally is I'll drag this out. You used to not be able to do this, but we can now. And you can see we're snapped in there at 0 degrees, and then I'm going to drag it the other way. Okay, now what I like to do is sorry, a frog in my throat. So I'm going to come in here and I'll just round these off. So I'm going to make this 110 and I'll make this 90 because otherwise it bothers me. Okay, so now we have a plan view. It's encompassing the whole bottom of this. It's a little long there, but that doesn't really matter. What I would do generally is I'd probably just move this back 3 feet, and just to even it up I'll probably make this a little wider. So as you can see, I'm not gonna try and have a real short video. I'm just gonna do it as I would do it, and you can follow along if you want. Okay, so now we have a plan view there. So you can also have processes for these. So you can see here I have selected cameras. So you can have these set up for selected cameras, or you can have them set up for plan views, elevations. So I'm not going to really get into that in the video because most of the projects I do aren't big enough to have processes for the cameras. I like to put them on one at a time. So right now we'll put this one on the drone just to see. So I'm going to select the camera, come to the drone process, go here, and I'll just put it on one of my own sheets for now. And I want to number this 100. Okay, you can also put it on an existing drone, which I'll show you in a minute. Alright, so you can see down here it did fit on the sheet. Usually the first time it will fit on the sheet, it will. But if you try and put this again on another sheet, it might not. It might go back to 001. So let's show the camera detail. Alright, so you can see we have the columns are labeled, which is fine. I've got these grid lines which I created myself. These walls are created from solids. I generally create my walls with solids, and then later in the project I will change them. I just don't use the time at the start of a project, which might be wise, might not be wise. Here is an old column, an old column. Okay, so we have the plan view, we have some dimensions. I'm not so worried about this. So as you can see, we're snapping to the grid lines. Let me click on this and just see my drone style. Access, it does have a system line. Okay, so I have that set up correctly. Alright, so for now you could do that. Sorry. So we have the plan. We can trick around with that in a little bit. These are the dimensions that I received along the center of the building. So later I may have these up here somewhere. These are not the exact dimensions on the outside of the building. The building is an existing building. So for right now, you have that plan. You get the idea. We'll drag this in here. And I'm not sure, I might delete these later. So I'm just going to select the wall. Advanced properties, and it's a block wall, but for now I'm just going to put it in as concrete, and I can switch it later. Now if you have these set up already as concrete walls, it'll probably come in with a hatch on it, so I don't worry about it too much, to be honest. So you can also match properties with these. So if you come in here, and if I want to change this to 0.5 or maybe 3, we'll go the other way. So let's make it 2, and then, oh, that's my plot style or my print. That's my plot. This one, match properties, sorry. Match properties. Didn't work. Alright, sometimes they match. I have done it where I've just done one and matched them around, but anyway. So obviously you don't want these overlapping here, so I'm also going to go back and I'll give it dimension, because you'll see in a minute if I want to give it dimension off the wall, because these walls are in and out. That's 4.5, and I'm going to make this down to a smaller size. That's 4.5, and we'll check this one. This is 5 1/8. Alright, so they're all different, so we'll go back and put them in later. First floor plan, if you go in, you can see if I click on this, it says others. So if I go to the drawing style, and it was plan ADM 330 seconds. So let's go to plan ADM 330 seconds. So if you go, back up here, all the way to the top, you can see I have it set up to come in with this token others, which is whatever you put in that camera. So if you want to come into whatever drawing style you're using, you need to change this to predefined remark, which is others. So you can see on the drop down list here, others. So use that, and sorry, just having a drink. Alright, so we're going to cancel out that, and now we have that. So, right, so now I'm going to want some elevations. So there's a couple of ways to do the elevations. You could put in the camera the same way as I just did. So that would involve rotating around the x-axis. And then you will want to put in the camera. So I guess you could do it the same way. Let's come in here, camera, and put it on that node. And we'll do the same thing, detail box. 12, rear, 12, and then display. And you can select what objects you want in these cameras also, which is very useful. Wasn't there previously. I want to do a fixed view, so again I will do the same thing as I did before. I'll drag this all the way out. And all the way up. Okay, so again, this one we want to be in elevation. And here we want to do elevation, grid line, B. Or you could call it a section, whatever you want to do, whatever way you prefer to do it. And then we'll set this probably to 1/8 is to 1, but we're going to go down here first and find elevation ADM 330 seconds, and I'll make it 1 is to 1. Alright, so now we also have this grid here. Now there is another way to do these, which I like to use for these ones. If you come in here, now you can also get it over here, but I don't do it this way, so where is it? Somewhere here, I don't remember. Is this here? No. Alright, let me I'm just going to go in here and do it the way I always do it. So I'm just going to create a model view. It's also over there on that tool palette somewhere. And I'm going to create a model view, and it's going to be at a grid line, and I'm going to select grid line A. Specify opposite corner. Name given, grid line A. I won't call it elevation grid line A this time. I will see what the difference will be. And please select the direction. Alright, so now you have a grid line. With these model views, I always right click on them, and this is just for myself. I change the color to that cyan, which is the same as this one. Now it's fine with this model. I can have this as unlimited, but if you go in here and go to advanced properties, you can see the height is 0. I'm going to set that height to 12 feet. Alright, now your model view is there. So now I'm going to drag this up. Okay. So now, right now, this is just a model view. So if I double click on it, it's going to give me a view. Now, what you can do is you can turn this into a camera by advanced properties, clipping, camera properties, create automatic camera. I'm going to have an elevation, and I'll call it grid line A. come in here, go down through your user. Probably in your user you can use the ones out of the system if you want. Elevation 330 seconds, and I'll go to 1.8 again. Object, consider all objects is what I want, and that's it. Now you have a camera. Now if you can't remember the direction, just right click on this and you can either change the default view direction, show camera graphic. You can see camera is going that way. If I right click, change view direction, if I select that, the camera graphic switches over. So that's what you do there. So I actually want that to go the way I had it, so I am going to change default view direction and change it back. I am also going to hide that camera graphic so I can see what's going on, and there you go. So double click on that to deactivate. So now I have this camera here and I have this camera here. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at these on a drawing. So I will put the last one I did on a drawing first. So I'm going to select that. It will now see this as a camera, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put that on a sheet, and I'm going to name that sheet 200 for my elevations. Okay. So that's on 200. Show camera graphic. I did not want to do that, sorry. I wanted to show it on the drawing, so show camera detail is what I wanted. So as you can see, because I did not restrict the view the other direction, it is now bringing in the other model I had on the other side. So we'll need to fix that. So let's go back here and advanced properties. The width of this camera is 108. Camera properties. So it's going to include everything on that, right? So now if I go to this other one and I'm going to put that on this. Let me see if it'll fit on the same sheet. Let me go back to the sheet. It may fit on here. So let's go back to the model. Let's select this other camera. Usually I'll change the color of these cameras too, so I'll do something like advanced properties, properties, and I'll change it to yellow. So I'll have like plans as blue, and I just do it manually like this. I don't put them, sometimes I put them on a different layer, but in general I just recolor them just so it's easier to see them. So we're going to pick this one, and let's go to put this on the 200 drawing. Let's see if it fits. Now it is restricted by the size of this camera. So it did fit. So you can see that looks okay. Now sometimes it's good to output these because you can see some mistakes you've made. So I'm going to go back to this one and try and fix this one. So let's go back to this one. So the way we can fix this is not by double clicking on it. Double click on that again. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go into the properties of that. So this is why sometimes you're better off to just create a camera. So advanced properties, objects, objects considered, and then we'll select all of these objects inside that. You may have to change this later and reselect. So let's see what happens here. So it should get rid of this, As you can see, the slab has come in with a hatch on it because that slab is made from a concrete element. So that's taking a second. I am on a laptop, so it's usually not too slow, but so I like to use the grid lines like this for the cameras, but obviously if you have more stuff to the side. Alright, so now that has worked, but if I put in any new elements here, I'm going to have to add them out the way I just did. So you can see we have new columns, the walls, hidden, no system line. Okay, that's okay for now. So we can probably make these two elevations slightly larger. I would generally do that in here. And I'll just do 3/16. Now, a lot of people ask questions why members are coming in with labels. You would have to look into the drawing style videos for those. I mean, all these labels and everything are controlled in whichever drawing style you decide to use. So these ones are elevation, ADM, 3/32, which are ones that I created myself. And this, I don't know if it's because this is in a model view, but it seems to be taking longer to update than usual. Usually it doesn't take. Let's just see how long this one takes to update. This one is a camera, not a model view. It's probably because I have selected members. It just takes longer to check. So if you choose not to do that with the model view, you could also just copy the camera. So as you can see here, elevation grid line B. You can see the difference here is I have elevation in here. I need to remove that because my drawing style, I knew it did, I just wanted to show you. So my drawing style includes elevation in the token. So if I go to elevation, ADM 330, elevation, and then the predefined remark. I should really leave this at just a predefined remark, but that's fine. So let's say it doesn't seem like a good idea to use this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete that, and then I'm just going to copy this one over. And in the Z direction, I'm just going to copy this over to the center line of the column is what I'm going to do. Actually, not the center line of that column. Center line of this column. Alright, so that's good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the 200 drawing. I'm going to delete this one because I've just deleted the model view for it. I'm just going to drag this on here. I'm going to go back here. I'm not going to up the size of this because it probably will not fit in the sheet then. So I'm just going to leave the size the same. I'm going to select that. Actually, I'm going to double click, and this is grid line B, but it's not because it's actually grid line A. And then I'm going to select that, ADM, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to put that on the 200 sheet. Okay. So now that's going to put that on the 200 sheet. It should fit because I moved the other one down out of the way. So let's see. It did fit on the 200 sheet. So go to the 200 sheet and you can see. Now let's see if I update it now, if it'll update quicker than it did the last time when it was in a model view. And you can see it's already updating. So probably better to just do a camera. Maybe it's just my system, but it's taking a little longer. Alright, so you have those two views. I'm going to move this one down here, keep it on the screen, on the sheet. And these columns should be in line with each other's centers. So sometimes I'll just draw a line, sometimes I'll snap them. I'll just draw a line down here, and then I'll move this from the midpoint between these 2 points. These are all existing connections, that's why they're in gray. Alright, so now we have elevation. Let me see, I did delete that. Alright, so right now we can see that level has gone correct, so I want to move this up here. This is set up to come in with these snapping to the nodes, or sorry, snapping to, yes, the nodes on, I guess it's snapping to the node of the column. I thought it was snapping to the grid lines, but I guess I am wrong again. Alright, you can see I could do with this being a little bit lower. I don't want that cutting through the slab, so what I can do is I'm just going to make both cameras slightly bigger, or I can move them down, I guess. So let's move these cameras down 4 inches. Then we'll come back in. You could also close the drawing and it'll update both of them a little quicker, but it's only 2 views, so I'm going to do it right here. You can see the slab is full now. And this one should be the same. Oh yeah, that's the column sticking out the bottom. Okay, that's okay. Alright. So also you can put in, which is useful, you could put in, this camera's a little short on both sides, is it also? I don't want it cutting through that wall. It's cutting through that wall there also. Sorry, this is, I should have made the camera, generally I usually make them a little longer, but let's see if I move this out here 12 inches. So before I update now, I will go in and let's just say we want some labels to come in for elevations or levels. I'm going to put that one in there, and on the top of the wall I will put in another one, 13.7. Then go back up to that view. Let's delete that line we put in there. Also, the hatch is a little much unless you zoomed right in, so let's go to that hatch and make it 2 is good. And I must have the levels turned off sometimes. Let me just close this, and if it go back into document manager, and a force update. Yeah, so you know what it is? I'm not deep enough there. You can see the camera's not deep enough. This camera should be fine because it's on the center line. So let's go back here. And the camera's not deep enough. So rear, we'll do 18, so 1/46. Back to the drawing. So this is what I do. You know, it's not always perfect. You have to update them. But you can kind of see it in real time. You kind of already have a pretty decent result. And you can see there's your level symbols come in. So you can drag them over. So if you want them to come in automatic, it's easy to put them in also by yourself. But if you want them to come in automatic, do that. So this is the existing wall. And this is the top of steel. And you can put another one on the top of joist then if you want. Alright, so now you want to have some, so you've got a plan, you've got some elevations. Now let's do some details. So let's go back to shaded so we can see a little better. Alright, so what I want is, I'm going to want an anchor detail at the old one. So you can see this is 2 columns. This one here is the new box section. And if I do, you can see, so the plan is to put these plates on, cut these columns here, slide this plate on, weld it around, and cut it off again. And then put on, and then weld on this onto the same plate, because this is already anchored into the ground down below. That is kind of the plan. So I'm going to want a detail there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my camera back to the way it was originally, or my UCS the way it was originally. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a camera. Now to start with, I'm going to put this in just as a detail camera. I'm not going to put it in as an anchor detail or any of that. So I'm going to have that as a detail, and anchor at existing. Anchor at existing, and then I'm going to come in here, user detail. 1:1 is usually pretty good. I used to do 1:1. I used to do 1.5 is to 1, but now I generally do 1. I can make it bigger later. So front, rear, I'm just going to have it as 6 and 6, doesn't really matter. And fixed, I'm going to have 24. 24. Okay, and then I'm going to select this, go to properties, and I'm going to make it green. Alright, so we'll have that, and then we're going to copy that. It's easy for you to see it this way, but it's kind of harder for me to copy it around, but I'll see what I can do. So I'm going to copy that over here to this new anchor point, and I'll put that at the node. And then there's the ones at the wall are slightly different, so I'll put that at the node also. And then up here we have like kind of an outrigger situation, so I'll also put this at the node at the end of that beam. Alright, so now I'm going to rotate this. Now you can just put them in again if you want. Just rotate your UCS and then put them in the way you want. Or you can do it this way. I do it both ways, to be honest with you. So I'm going to rotate this around the X, and then rotate around the node, so it should be also the center of the camera. Should be. Not always correct. Okay. So there's one like that. So it's almost big enough, but I'll just make it a foot bigger either direction. Okay. Alright, so there's one there, and we'll put some more in later, but for now that should do. So what I want to do is I'll go in here and change this anchor at new. I'm not going to call that either. I'll just do anchor at HSS for now. I'll change that also. And this one, anchor at wall, we'll call it for now. I might just make these call outs later. So detail A, B, C. Alright, so now we want to put these on a sheet, so I'm going to select these. So like I'm saying, this is how I do it. I have videos showing you how to set up where the title up here, the type If you just want to output all your details, you can set that up. It's actually not that difficult, but I don't do very big projects, and I probably won't ever be doing huge projects, so I like to have more control over it. So it usually goes in order, right? So if I want to put them on the sheet in order, I should pick them in order. That usually works. Probably make a fool of me now I said that. And I'll select this one. So this is direction this is going to look in, right? So we all understand how to. I'm not getting into the total basics of cameras, but I'm sure you understand some of it. So I'm going to put these on the 300 drawing, okay. And then rather than opening the document manager, again, I'll do it the same way. I just click on this, and then I go to show camera detail. Now, so here's your details. You can see here's your existing, here's your new, and missing a couple of labels because I did not use an anchor detail for that. You could use an anchor detail. You can use whatever you like, really. You could use the plan view if you want. So you can see mine don't come in perfect either, but I'm sure most people's don't. It is pretty good for me. I can add other stuff manually, or you need to learn how to change your. So I have these set up when they're not numbered to come in with the model roll. So the model roll here is an end plate. It's coming in with the 8 bolts, and it's got a column here. The problem I have with these connections is this bothers me quite a bit, actually. These ones here, they always come in as 1s or 2s. I like to put them in together, so sometimes I don't use that connection. So sometimes you're just going to have to come in here, and I'll either change this manually, or instead of using the connection type, I'll just come in here and I'll put in 4 bolts. And I'll draw a rectangle and delete the connection, because it treats all these as separate bolts. Or you can go in and get it to combine the labels in your drawing style. But it bothers me that they're all separate bolts anyway. So you can see they're all separate bolts, which is how it needs to add the connection. But it's not that big a deal, but what I'll do is change that to 4, and then we have the beam here, and then I'll put in some dimensions, but you're pretty good to go there, right? I mean, it's not perfect, but it's better than drawing it out in 2D, that's for sure. So I don't know what else I can kind of show. Cameras really are fairly easy. Alright, so cameras are pretty easy. There you have your 3 different anchor details that I want for now, and I have this other carry. I will also add more details, obviously, but there's not really a lot going on here. We're raising up the center, so I'll probably have another elevation through one of these. I'll have another detail here at the top of these existing connections, so I'll put one here. So I'll just copy this over. I'll copy this over here onto this plate, and I'll set the camera back, and I'll rotate through the center point of the camera. Now, as I have in my template, you can just copy these cameras, leave them to one side, have it in your template already, so you don't have to create them. So basically just copy these all over here to the side. It's probably the way I should have it done, to be honest with you, but I like to kind of start things on every new project so everything's fresh in my mind. I don't forget what way I have things set up. So this one will be probably section 1. Section 1, and I'll do section 2 for this one. Or it could be existing splice, existing beam splice, but you kind of want to know the location in these senses. So you can also label them both ways. I could do section 2 and then have existing beam splice below. It's also the location of the post. Existing beam splice. Select that one, and I'm going to put that back on that sheet also. So on this sheet, okay. So as you can see, it's pretty easy. Within, I don't know how long I've been doing this video, but within a half hour or so, an hour I guess, you can get these on the sheet. You can see I have also renamed this, so labels, update detail. And from there you can kind of up, so you can see it switched to section 1. So here you can see I have this set up to show the hidden lines. So you can also come in here and just do some quick changes like that. And you know, display it's on both sides. So you know, I wouldn't worry about changing your drawing style for that. I would just come in and I'd probably take that out. See, there's a lot of existing members in this, so I don't really have it set up. So I could just do existing plate both sides, and I'll just do a manual label for that. Put the label somewhere where it looks good. Here's your existing joist. So it's kind of cutting through the existing joist, which kind of looks a bit funky. So I'll just come in here and detail box, and I'll make the X direction 4 feet. And I could have just moved it to one side, but I don't mind it being a little longer rather than shorter. And now you can see all that looks a little bit better. And you have your column, your bolts, your end plate. You'll just need to put in your weld symbol, so I'm going to have this in here. Probably just 1/4 inch is enough. Continuous. Typical, if you come up here and the text module, the same text will come in the next time. And in here, these are all selected sometimes they're not. You can see they're all selected. So next time I put in the weld, it should be the same. So insert weld symbol, and you can see it comes in the same. Okay, so you get the idea. If I click on this, you can see there's no system line for this beam. So this is a column, so I would probably want to add a system line. So let me see, is that you just want to make sure you have these set to be columns. Name column, so that's set up to be a column. So we'll have a look in one of the drawing styles for a minute just to finish up the video. So this drawing style is ADM, detail ADM 330 seconds. So that's where you can double check it down here. And then output, and your drawing style. Back up to details, so minimize that. So here's where it gets a little tricky for people. So that column is not numbered, so it's not going to be a main part column. So it's either going to be a beam or a column. So let's see down here, we have beams, columns, front, length, visible, hidden. So it also depends what's above it. We have beams, side width, front length. Let's have a look. Front length should be any direction looking on the front, so that should be the one we're looking at. It should have a model section name with leader 330 seconds. So you can see it has a column with the name. So that is most likely, I'd have to look through them all to be sure, but most likely that is the one. So we're going to go down here, columns. And I probably would like to have the system line on anyway. So we'll have visible system, visible hidden system. Then just check your scale first. So the scale sometimes is too big. So it's 1.5 inches is to 1. So what I'll do is I'll just update it with this one. Use, and this will get bigger, and this column will have a system line running up the center of it. So it moves it off the sheet because it got a little bigger. The system line did not come on. So column. So that was not the one. So let's go back. That should be the one. Oh, the beam is above it. Alright, so the beam is above it. So the beam is above it. Side width, beam, tees. Main part columns. Let's try this. Sometimes it's tricky to find them. When I haven't been in for a while. There's the system line. So it was because there was a beam, there was beam ones above it. So you can see this one here now has no system line either. So when they don't have system lines, depending on what way you have them set up, then they won't come in with dimensions. Now obviously I could still pick the center of this, but you know, if I want to go in and put in the dimension, I'm going to want to put a dimension in here, and then I'll probably put an overhang dimension on the end of that. For me, I don't mind putting a lot of these in manually because I want to make sure they're there anyway, but you can set these all up to come in, but that's a whole other kettle of fish, doing the drawing or dimension strategies. They can be difficult. I can kind of do them, but not fully. So then you probably, I usually just put these in manually for these because otherwise you end up with them all over your drawing. So right now you have plan view, you have your elevations, and you have your details. You need a little bit of cleaning up, but not too much, and you should have some fairly decent drawings to send out. I hope that helps, and let me know if you have anything else you'd like to see that I haven't included in my videos already. Alright, thank you. Bye.